This is our third and final presentation on program design. Okay, this is going to go into some little bit more miscellaneous topics, but still important to understand when creating a resistance training program. So some things we'll talk about in this part are warm up and cool down, okay, maximizing the benefits of a resistance training program, making adjustments to the program, maybe when things don't go right, and then talking a little bit about variation and exercise rotation. So warm up, everybody's heard this before. Warming up is important. We all know that. All right, but we also need to understand that warming up is important in maximizing the effect of our workout. If we want to get the most out of it, a proper warm up is that first step. Okay, the key elements are listed here, but we're going to get into those in the next couple slides. So one of the key elements of a warm-up is warming the body or improving blood flow. Okay, so some things that we can do is just some light cardio, pretty short, such as some running, biking, jump rope, etc. Okay, just kind of getting the heart pumping a little bit. We can perform movements in a circuit. Okay, these can be some warm-up movements that improve blood flow, get us warm. We can just wear some extra clothing. We can increase the room temperature. Maybe we're on our way to the gym and we just crank up the heat in our car, or we use a sauna for a short period of time. Okay, we can also do a combination of all these things. Okay, another part of the warm-up is to improve mobility or our ability to get into key positions for the exercises that are coming up. If we know that we have a hard time getting into the bottom of a squat, well, during your warm-up, you better be loosening up those hips and ankles so that way you can get into a squat for when it's time to do that. So we can do things like light stretching. If you don't know by now, we should try to avoid long static stretches pre-workout. This is going to inhibit our body's ability to produce force. We can do things like foam rolling, massage, or just simply moving through a full range of motion. Maybe we need to do it a little bit at body weight before we can actually do it with some weight. Other key components of a warm-up is we can activate key muscles. So this is sort of relating to the neural connections from the brain to a muscle. Sometimes people don't quite know how to fire something or turn it on, but if we can keep stimulating that muscle, okay, we're going to improve those neural connections for the workout that's coming up. A common example that many people have maybe seen or heard of, doing lateral band walks before some squatting or some exercise is going to activate those hip stabilizers, the glute minimus and medius. Okay, that's going to help us to avoid some knee valgus. Another key part of the warm-up is just practicing the movements. All right, so if we're going to be doing something with some weight, we better be grooving that pattern, making sure that our form is locked in before we put ourselves at risk with some extra weight. Cooling down. Okay, this is very neglected, but it can arguably be just as important as the warm-up. So cooling down is the first step in the recovery process. Things that we need to understand in the cool down is that when we are fired up from training, we need to bring our body back down to a state of rest and recovery or regeneration. So we need to bring the body back to a parasympathetic state. When we train, we are bringing ourselves into a fight or flight state, which is healthy for a short period of time, but not healthy to stay in for a long period of time. We all know people that are adrenaline junkies and just can't turn off. Okay, this really wears on the body. Okay, so some things that we can do to bring ourselves down are deep diaphragmatic breathing, low intensity cardio such as walking, or things such as stretching or massage. Okay, another important part of cooling down is lengthening tight muscles. So when we resistance train, we are contracting muscles, shortening them, squeezing them repeatedly for reps. Okay, after our workout, we need to get those muscles to return back to their resting length. We don't want them to permanently become shortened and tight. So a good cool down would maybe be go for a light walk, do some static stretching and breathing. Okay, it can be as simple as just 10 minutes of that. So going into maximizing the benefits of our training sessions, when we refer to the science of programming or the science of exercise, okay, this is your job to create a program that makes sense. So when we want to achieve an outcome, we need to make sure that we're picking the right exercises, we're picking the right reps and intensity level, we are minimizing the risk of injury, we're not overloading something too much, and then we create a reasonable progression and track towards whatever their goal is. Okay, having an understanding of how all these different variables affect one another, or variables of that individual affect the training program, is going to be important for this. Okay, so the science part here is heavily dependent on who's making the program and who is overseeing it. We can also get into the psychology of maximizing the benefits. So having a positive mindset before training can have a large impact on the training effect. People that go in eager to work out or in a good mood can really get a better training effect from that session. Okay, people that just want to be healthy should have a lot of things that they enjoy in the program and some of the things that they need. Okay, this is going to be important for adherence, but also making sure that every day when they come in and work out, they feel good, they enjoyed what they did, and they're going to come back for more. Okay, people that want to be the best or an elite level at something, they should have a lot of what they need and a little of what they want. But that should also come with the understanding of what it takes to be the best. So they can't come in and moan and groan about doing things that they don't want to do, because then they don't truly want to be the best. Okay, general population don't want to be the best, they just want to be healthy. There's a lot of ways we can do that. So creating buy-in from them is going to make them eager to perform the workouts and stick to the program and give their best effort. If somebody doesn't really like what's on paper or isn't really bought into the fact that the program's going to work, there's a good chance they're not going to put in their best effort or follow through with it. Talking about making adjustments to a program, if somebody misses a workout, first thing we can do is we just shift things back one day and we get right back on track with that program. If that's not possible, we go to option 2. Okay, we can take key elements from 2 workouts. Maybe we take some of the main lifts, make sure that we're still hitting those, a couple accessory movements. Okay, we still hit those, the rep goals and the intensity level, but maybe we just take a few sets off because we're adding a little bit more exercises. A third option is we can skip the workout and move on to the next one. Okay, this is the least ideal, okay, but at least we're moving on and still getting a workout in. Okay, we can't let bad workouts or misses turn into a bad week. We need to reassess what the current situation is and get right back to where we were. If an injury occurs or something that we are dealing with throughout the program, first option we can do is we can change the exercise but maintain the stimulus. Maybe somebody, their knee hurts while they perform back squats, so we change those out into box squats, which feel comfortable to them. Instead of back squats, we're still going to get a heavy loading of that same pattern, but now we're not aggravating an injury. Second option we can do is we can reduce the volume or intensity of the exercise. So we need to find out whether it is a lot of reps that bother the injury or if it is the heavy weight that bothers the injury. And then we stick to the appropriate amount of work for that. The last thing we should do, only if needed, is eliminate loading of the injured joint or muscle to let it heal. Okay, when absolutely necessary, sometimes we just need to let something heal completely and not load it at all. Okay, injury is a pretty complex topic, and when in doubt, we should seek help from a doctor. This is beyond our scope of practice. All we can do is, to our best of our ability, help them achieve results while staying healthy and injury-free. So we'll talk about variation and exercise rotation. The program example that I gave in the last lecture did not have much or at all any variation. I kept the same exercises from week to week just to keep things simple, so that the only variables we were focusing on were the reps and the sets. But having variation in a program can be very beneficial. So with this, we can prevent staleness or create some novelty. So somebody that really feels like they need to mix things up, or somebody that has exercise ADD, this is going to be really important. We can also mix things up to help prevent overuse injuries. If somebody is back squatting twice a week for 16 weeks long, maybe some things are going to start coming up because we are loading the same pattern the same way over and over and over again. Okay, it all depends on somebody's technique and their training level. Okay, but when we change the exercise, we are loading the body differently. Some ways that we can use variation. So with lighter exercises, we're not going to be changing the stimulus to a very large extent. So if we just are taking those secondary or accessory exercises and going from a barbell curl to a dumbbell curl, but that makes the client feel like they're doing something different and fun, awesome. Okay, we're still going to get the same result. We're getting some volume into those biceps, but we're just still making it feel like something's different. Okay, things that are a little bit heavier, we can use variation to control for intensity. So a back squat is not going to have the same stimulus as a front squat, pretty close, but not the exact same, due to the fact that most people can back squat heavier than they can front squat. So if in a program we decide to progress from front squats to back squats, we are now introducing a form of overload or progression. We also need to remember that too much variation can also be a bad thing. Okay, it is great in certain situations, but without consistency in certain movements, how do we even know that we are getting better at them? Or somebody that is just now learning how to do a movement, we don't want to mix it up on them before they actually acquire that skill. Okay, so beginners need to practice things to an extent with small amounts of variation mixed in just to keep things fun. All right, and it's also easier to control for variables when we're only changing reps, sets, and intensity. If we start throwing in all different kinds of exercises, we're not really going to know where the effect came from. Things to remember if you take nothing from this, okay, I want you to remember these key points right here. Warming up and cooling down are important and can truly maximize the effect of a workout. Someone's mental headspace can also maximize the effect of a workout. If something happens in the program, okay, that they didn't do a workout or they became injured or something like that, we need to just make adjustments and keep moving forward. This isn't an opportunity to quit. Variation can be a useful tool if used properly. And then the number one factor to consider in a program is the individual. Okay, we said that there's more than one way to skin a cat. Okay, well, there are millions of people in this world, all created differently with different needs.